Hey everybody, Warren and Julie. We're going to talk to you today about one of our favorite countries. And if you're following us, you know that we spend a lot of time here, and that's Montenegro. So Julie and I, we travel full time with our dogs, but our home base where we own our home is in the beautiful country, the jewel of the Adriatic, Montenegro. And oftentimes we're asked why we don't have residency there. And, Julie and I, we probably will eventually get residency in Montenegro. But for now, we travel full time and we try to spend 90 days in and 90 days out is what we're doing right now in Montenegro, doing the regular tourist cycle. And we were using this as our escape from the Schengen, but we're going to spend more time in Montenegro because we just love the country.
Yes, we do.
But there are residency options available for you. And we have a new expert that we're going to introduce to you this year, and his name is Nino. But before we get into that, I want to remind everybody that you can find us and follow us on Facebook by looking for Warrenjulietravel, and you'll find us on Facebook, and you can join our Facebook group. And also, if you're looking to live abroad, move abroad, travel full time, don't forget, we have traveling insurance that Julie and I use as we travel for medical, $2,500 deductible, about $1 million worth of coverage. So as we go to pretty much most of the countries in the world, we have that safety net of medical coverage. So you can find us and find out more about that insurance at warrenjulietravel@gmail.com. And also, once we introduce you to Nino and you've got questions for him, we'll introduce you as well. So just remember to email us at warrenjulietravel@gmail.com. So let's go ahead and bring in Nino. Welcome to our channel, and we're glad to have you.
Glad to have you too, and pleasure to be on your channel. I watched a few of your videos. I'm very impressed, so I'm looking forward to speak to you guys and share as much knowledge as I can with your viewers.
Super. We're glad to have you as part of our professional expert family here on the channel. We've done interviews with many residency experts in many countries, and we try to provide this knowledge and this service to our viewers, which are from all over the world. We have people from the UK, from Australia, from the United States, Canada, as well as Asia. We get people from Iran even, and Japan, China,
South Africa.
India, South Africa. So it's a very international group, but most of them are not, may not be familiar with the rules of Montenegro. And I think you've got some clear answers for people today. So I'm really happy to have you here. I'd like for you to talk to us about the options people have, whether it's through home ownership in Montenegro or opening a corporation. What are the options? What do they have to do this?
Yeah. Well, glad you asked. Not many people understand or do understand, but Montenegro is very open for business. It's very welcoming for foreigners. Tourism is a big industry here, so the laws and the regulations are set up in such a way that it is a very straightforward process, and we believe it doesn't take so much time, or it applies for wide-ranging people. So I can start with residencies through corporations. Montenegro has no limitations on citizen nationalities who can open and set up a company in Montenegro, and the person just needs to have a passport. If they have a passport, they can set up a corporation and start working or opening their way for coming to Montenegro to work. This means that from anywhere around the world, persons can authorize a person, either attorney, accountant, or whoever, an agency, to open a company for them in Montenegro, which takes around 5 working days. And once they have a company opened, they have the right for the temporary residency permit as executive director of their company. This means that the person needs to have a few documents and come to Montenegro to apply for residency permit. The regulation requirements are: person needs to come with a passport, have a health check done in Montenegro, so no health checks from abroad, are applicable for these purposes because these are specialized health checks in Montenegro, very quick, very simple to do in any of the general hospitals here. They need to have a local Montenegrin insurance valid for 30 days. And from their own country, they have to bring police certificate, usually apostilled, if their country is in apostille system of Hague Convention. This means that they have to provide evidence to Montenegrin government that they are not wanted person or that they haven't served prison sentence longer than 2 years, or that any effects of any such prison sentence stopped for less than 10 years, which means that even if the persons did something small or whatever, and this was more than 10 years, they should not worry about having that on their criminal checks. And with those documentation, they can come to Montenegro to apply. They also require to have some kind of school document because Montenegro stated requirement that executive directors of the Montenegro needs to be educated person. This means that person needs to provide that they completed some form of formal education. This can be elementary school, high school, university, everything is acceptable. And they are in that way ready for application for the residency permit. So just to summarize, if I was not clear, for person to actually apply for residency permit through work from abroad, from their own country, what they need to bring is police certificate, which would need to be apostilled. Police certificate can be from courts or local police force, or if in USA it can be FBI national force. Apostille it and bring some kind of school document. School document does not need to be apostilled. They can bring that to Montenegro. Everything else is done inside of Montenegro.
So you can just be really with the high school diploma. It doesn't need to be a formal education so much, but you have to show that you've completed.
Yes, even if when they were kids, they went to elementary school, they finished the elementary school, first few years of the school, this is acceptable for them. So this is not something to be scared of. And people, one of the things, if I can digress, is that sometimes they say, oh, I finished school 50 years ago. They would be surprised that in most of countries in the world, the law states that every school or there is national archives with their degrees. So there's always a way how this can be found. If they don't know how to approach it, we assist them with that. We know which agency, government agency or school would know, even if sometimes the school burned really or shut it down, changed name, things like this. There's always a way around it. So this can be, and even if it's not formal education, if it's some education recognized by by ministries here, like sports manager certificates or things like this, it will go through. So this is something to be problematic about.
It could be an insurance license, professional license from your country as well.
Would that be acceptable, an insurance license from someone?
I'm not so sure, depending on what kind it is, because they really want it to be formal education or equivalent. Okay, I know that some people, I know some people don't.
Yeah, so just for purposes, it needs to be a formal education, like a college or a high school.
Yes, but sometimes
people not a trade certificate then.
Not a trade certificate, but sometimes people, for example, don't complete their high school for any reasons, and they lost the elementary the documentation. So they went to army, or they simply had the consequences which caused them to, for example, finish the high school in 1 year, or they finish some alternative education certificate that is seen as education certificate in their country. Then that means that we could potentially use that. We would have to check with Ministry of Education in Montenegro, but there are ways, because in my time I saw people, as I said, they would finish some sports manager education system, which is equivalent to some high school system. Then that is fine. Some people would finish 1.5 years course, for example, for being secretary, but in their country this is considered like finishing college, 2 years of college. So these kinds of documents could be acceptable.
Okay. So let's go to some of the benefits of being in a corporation. So if you're doing a corporation, it means that you have the ability to travel somewhat freely. You don't necessarily have to be doing physical type of work within the country of Montenegro, but you have to pay the minimum tax for the employer or for the employee. So you need to have the minimum tax, and this allows you to stay in the country, travel from the country, own a home, or home ownership's a whole the residence anyway, but buy a car and have it registered. And can you tell us what is the minimum tax? What is the and this also provides medical insurance in the country also, if I'm not mistaken.
So well, the corporation residency route is the easiest and most approachable, accessible, as understood for everyone. As I said, it takes 5 days to set up a company. It takes 2 weeks or 3 weeks, depending on the work of police, to issue you immigration card when you satisfy all the requirements for application. And these are not even arbitrary. They are simply, you come with these documentation, insurance, funds on the account, police certificate, school document, you apply, you get your residency permit. But what does that mean? That is in effect like you being Montenegrin. As you say, Warren, you can buy a car, you can, in Montenegro, you can register that car, drive it around Montenegro. You have a health insurance because as an employee of your company, you are granted immediately the state universal healthcare system, which maybe not be the greatest in Montenegro, but it is still something that for small medical insurances, it's okay. This covers you in that section. This also allows a person to travel more freely in and out of the country. And this residency permit is renewable as long as the company exists, which they founded, and they paid regularly the taxes. But this also means that there is a cost of taxes on a monthly basis, because being an employee of your company requires a person to pay social security taxes to the government on a monthly basis. Every employee of company needs to receive a salary from the company, and they need to pay taxes. Those taxes are around 30% of their minimum wage or wage that they set up. The minimum wage in Montenegro is 450 euros, which is a full-time employment. And Montenegro prescribed that person needs to be registered as a full-time employee if they want to have a residency card and get a tax status here. So this means that they will have a mandatory cost of around 100 euro per month. This is not available, which amounts to 1,200 euros every year. This is the cost of them having that company and residence permit.
That's the tax. So basically, 100 to maybe 140 euro if it's 30%, euro per month to go towards the social security tax. But that also gives them the local Montenegrin health insurance as well. And
yes, it gives them local health insurance. It allows them here to stay 12 months. As long as the company exists, they can extend it for another 12 months. After 5 years, they have the right to apply for permanent residency. Permanent residency is where they get an ID allowing them to, they don't have to renew every year. They can do multiple jobs. Because interesting thing is that when you set up a company, register yourself as executive director, get a residency permit, you're not allowed to simply switch to another job, and you cannot change that residency permit for another job. You can hold a few jobs, but you would have to cancel your original residency permit and apply declaring to the immigration that you're working 3 or 4 jobs. Because some of the people set up a company and they use it to stay here and leave and come, but some people use it to come to Montenegro and then try to look for another job. So they should understand that it will not be such a straightforward process, especially if they come in Montenegro under a specific visa which allowed them to enter Montenegro.
I think it's important we talk about dependents then. You know, you talked about a person getting a corporation, 100%. Let's say that Warren had 100% corporation. He has me. I'm not going to have medical insurance. Is there a way I can buy medical insurance to accompany his?
Yes. So if the dependents of the person who set up a company and is the owner, is the executive director, has a residency permit, have the right to apply to stay in Montenegro as a family visa, under family visa route, which is that the person who is their sponsor or main family member who has a working visa, once he obtains the residency permit, the family can apply. It can be children, it can be a spouse, and from their own country, they have to bring police certificate and marriage certificate. It can also be, in cases of same-sex marriage, it can be civil partnership. Montenegro recognized those also for the family visas. And for the purposes of the children are considered up to 18 years old, or dependents if they're older than 18, but they can demonstrate that they are still in education. So if your child is 20 years old, but he's studying in university or somewhere, he can still be a dependent and have a family visa under the parents.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, I think something important, because our last time we did a residency video on Montenegro, it was apparently stated that the permanent residency path was gone, that you can, if you were in Montenegro for 5 years, that permanent residency was no longer an option. And to be clear, permanent residency is not citizenship. For those of you that are not familiar with the terminology, it's meaning you're allowed to be in the country, but this means you don't have to keep doing these renewals. So permanent residency was guidance was incorrectly provided, that was not an option, because you had stated that just last few months ago.
Yeah, even last month. I mean, last month, just before the end of the year. This is, as people should understand, there's a lot of rumors on the street, because over time, this permanent residency of 5 years route changed. In the past, there was options and towns that people would apply just by having a property residency permit, and then after 5 years, they would apply for permanent residency. Now, this is pretty much cleared out that it's not possible, but if person is owner of the business more than 51%, is executive director, and in the last 5 years have not been out of the country for more than 10 months, they have the right to apply for residency. They have the right to apply for permanent residency in Montenegro. And one of the conditions is that they also pass a test on Montenegrin language. They would have to demonstrate that they can communicate in Montenegrin language and know a certain information about Montenegro. So this is still valid. We just did it for a family of 4 people last month. It was during the December. So the laws of this haven't been outlawed or anything. I mean, maybe this law will change in the future, but it's impossible because this is specifically tied to nationalization, which means that after 5 years you get this permanent residency permit. After 10 years you have the right to apply for citizenship and passport. So if this route was canceled for everyone, that would mean that Montenegro can never issue anyone the citizenship unless they inherited it, which is not true.
So now to be clear, this is on the corporate side. So now on homeowners, it's the easiest path to get residency by being a homeowner in Montenegro. If you're in Montenegro for 5 years, for the majority of 5 years as a homeowner, is that path to permanent residency still there?
No, the immigration officers will not accept such application.
So
we heard rumors that somewhere they would, for corporation. So only through corporation. As you say, the easiest route for someone who is a tourist, they come on tourist visa or they're just a tourist in Montenegro. If they buy a property, they immediately can qualify for residency permit through property, which allows them to stay here for 1 year, renewable. And they only have to demonstrate through title deed from land registry that they own the property, which is habitable. So this means that it needs to be registered as an apartment or a house. It cannot be garage or empty land. And they have to provide police certificate, no requirements for health checks. They would be allowed to do this. But
no
unfortunately,
value on the
they cannot do
property.
5 years.
So it's 20,000 euro property. Is that going to get you residency?
Yes, because the immigration officers don't evaluate the value of this property. It can be in the hill, but if they have a title deed saying we have this property, which is like 50 square meters or 20 square meters, then it's fine. Of course, there are some limitations that if you have 7 family members, it's not really realistic that you will be able to put 7 family members in a tiny room that you bought for 10,000 euros. But otherwise, they don't concern themselves with how much you paid it or as long as it's a house, it's registered in land registry.
And let me just go ahead and interject here really quickly. Julie and I, we've got some great real estate contacts in Montenegro. And if you're looking for a property in Montenegro, please email us at warrenjulietravel@gmail.com. We'll be glad to put you in contact with our favorite realtors in the country to make sure you're getting the help you need and deserve. So real estate is something Julie and I have considered doing because we own a home. We've owned a home in Montenegro since 2016, our first home. We have sold that recently, bought a new one, and we've been kind of on the fence about doing residency because you really have to do 10 months a year, or it's actually 11 months, but you can leave if you have a reason for it, an additional month, and still be able to kind of roll your residency over. But if you leave for too much time, you don't have a guarantee of getting your residency renewed. You have to then reapply completely, correct?
Well, yes, as we discussed, basically there are certain limitations. Anything above 30, if you plan to be outside of the country longer than 30 days and you're not executive director, so that means your family members or you're a simple employee, you don't own more than 51% of business.
But for homeownership specifically,
yeah.
But for homeownership residency specifically.
Yeah, so for homeownership, for homeowners residency, there are limitations. You could declare, for example, if it's a medical emergency, you have to do surgery or someone is ill or things like that. You would have to justify in paper and apply with immigration officers in the town where you obtain the residence permit to inform them that you will leave the country. Not many people do that. They simply leave the country and then they don't come back for a year. And then when they come back, they're surprised that the residency permit was rejected. So the law states that if you plan to be outside of country for longer than 30 days, you have to justify it, or your residency permit renewal will be rejected. Justification is done through application in paper. So, and of course, that if you say, "Oh, I want to be on vacation in Maldives for 6 months," this will not really justify it. Yeah.
So this has been the hurdle for Julie and I for those of you wondering is, Julie and I, we travel a lot. We try to share different locations and places with you. So we just do the tourist stuff. We come in for 90 days or less, and then we are gone for 90 or more days, and we come in less than 90 days. That's how we've done our home basing in Montenegro, because you're allowed as an American to be in Montenegro without any additional paperwork or visa for 90 days just as a tourist. And so that's why we do things the way we do. When we decide we want to slow down our traveling, maybe we'll do the house residency thing, but it would be nice if the rules opened up to give you more freedom to travel. That's been the crux of us doing things the way we do, because many times we're asked about this, like, why don't you have residency in Montenegro? Why don't you have residency in Montenegro? Why do you have your car registered in Bulgaria?
Right.
This is why
easier.
We do things the way we do it.
Yeah. But I always say, I mean, you're right. I mean, I always say, but just maybe it's tried because this is really arbitrary with an immigration agent. You guys have a very unique case because, in my opinion, you promote Montenegro and you help Montenegro economy through various ways, even if it would be a residency through property. So I always say, have a good relationship with immigration officers in the sense that you explain them actually what you do, and if they say yes, then it's completely fine. It's really arbitrary at that point that your lifestyle could be done through that property route visa, and you don't need to have set up a business. It will always be case on case basis, and I tell to people, come and inquire and let's discuss and give us as many information as possibly you can, because you never know. Really, it's not really black and white here.
Okay. But residency with a home is the simplest way, if I'm not mistaken. You just need to come with your passport and your police record from your home country showing that you're not a convicted felon or some sort of wanted criminal, and then you can get residency fairly easily with just owning the home.
Is that correct?
Yes. So just by owning home, police certificate,
And no visa required, or any other special documents from certain nationalities?
No, so basically certain nationalities require visa to enter the Montenegro, but you have the right to apply for this type of residency permit even if you enter the country as a tourist on a tourist visa, which is a visa C, Schengen, UK visa, USA visas. All those visas allow you to enter Montenegro. While if you open a company through corporation, the only way to apply for residency permit which goes through corporation is via visa D, and visa D is a special visa that it doesn't help you to have any other tourist visas or Schengen or anything visas to obtain visa D, and you apply for them outside of the country in the embassies of Montenegro or Serbia. So this is why for some people it's easier to simply buy a property and get a tourist visa. It's always easier to get a tourist visa for certain nationalities than to get a working visa D.
Okay.
And for an American or a Canadian, then they're not coming with a visa D for the corporation because
but they don't need there is no requirement for North American citizens. They don't require them to have a visa D. They open a company and with their passports they have the right to apply for work permit straight away here.
Okay. So to be clear, you also have different options for residency. You have your home ownership, but you have your open a corporation. But if you wanted to work in Montenegro or become a migrant coming in and working for 6 months and going somewhere else, or whatever it is that they have to come into the country and want to stay, you can help them out, whether that's missionaries or professionals.
Yes, of course. Look, but you would be surprised, but there are some
we can't possibly touch all the topics today, but these people can come to you as well with these questions.
Yes, of course. There are some options, for example, even for people who have a mooring with a boat here. For example, if you sailed into Montenegro and you really, really like it, you have the right as a crew on a boat or owning a boat and a mooring contract with a local marina in Montenegro, you have the right for a residency permit. So that would mean that we see some people who actually live on a boat and obtaining their residency permits in some shape or form. So there is really, these are called a seafarer visas, which are not so much publicized, but so really it depends how people come. And as you say, maybe they come on missionary, maybe there will be some religious reasons why they come here. Maybe it will be a nomad. Maybe they have no interest in Montenegro in a sense of buying a property or working, but just coming here and they have a sustainable income to justify it. That way also they can stay in Montenegro.
So digital nomad is a new thing going on with Montenegro too. So let's talk real quickly. A lot of our viewers are coming with a pension or retirement, or maybe they're having income from outside of Montenegro. We know Montenegro's got an insanely low tax rate, but the rumor is that, hey, its worldwide income is taxed. But the reality is, if you're coming in with your Social Security from America paying you, or your pension from a different country or different government coming in, and it's earned outside of Montenegro, that's not going to be subject to the 9-10% tax from Montenegro, correct?
No. So basically, these are the special statuses incomes which were earned outside of Montenegro, have no relation to Montenegro, except maybe the funds arrive into Montenegro bank account, or it's a social security checks. These do not fall under the tax laws of Montenegro, and they cannot be taxed here. So people should not be worried that their pension might be double taxed here in Montenegro.
That's good, because I know there's a lot of people worried about the extra tax that they are going to lose part of their income coming into Montenegro, and that they think, well, maybe I need to go look at another country that I don't get taxed on my pension.
No, I mean, we as part of our dealings, we have a dedicated tax advisor for this, who actually we give it as a free consultation, because you first have to qualify really as a tax resident of Montenegro, and then that income needs to be related to Montenegro payment. If you just come here owning a property, have a property visa, you're not really a tax resident of Montenegro, and your pension is a profit that, they're not profit, they're payments from government of your country who taxed you and all of that, and then gave you the net income. This has no relation to Montenegro tax authority, so they should not be worried that Montenegro will want to tax them that. This will not really qualify. as it's not a business income, it's something they carry over from their nationality.
Okay, yeah, so Montenegro really is tax friendly as far as for most
Yeah.
foreigners coming in.
Exactly. I mean, I can very quickly, not to elaborate further, even Montenegrin citizens who earn their pension outside of, for example, they retired and they work half of their life abroad. If they receive pension from that country, they just have to declare it to their pensions center here in Montenegro, so that it's not a business income and then it's not taxed. So even for us Montenegrins, we will not be double taxed on any pension we get from abroad countries if we earned it.
Super. So let me go ahead and say a couple things here, and we definitely appreciate you being here, Nino. So everybody, please subscribe if you haven't. Don't forget to give the video a like. As a reminder, Julie and I were traveling with our 2 dogs. We're trying to find out what it's like to live in different countries, different places. We're trying to share our experiences, our expenses with you. And having professionals like Nino on with us is something we try to do. And if you would want to contact Nino, please email us at warrenjulietravel@gmail.com, and we're going to be glad to put you in contact with Nino directly. And we hope again you're going to subscribe, follow along, and don't forget to check out our playlist on Montenegro so you can see some of the beautiful places. So until next time, have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Bye.